Hi, so this is Anne-Marie Worthington, and I'm going to show you what I have learned about Kotlin and Android Studio in the last 2 weeks and the app I've built from it. So I decided to do a memory game, but not your traditional memory game where you're matching pictures. I homeschool my kids, and so I thought, wouldn't it be nice if they had a way of practicing their parts of speech? So of course I had to take a fun game and make it educational. My kids say I do that too much, but I started by setting up the layout. Now, this is my first real foray into Android Studio, so it was a high learning curve. There's 2 ways to set up the design, and I'm going to put this in a split view so you can see both of them. On the left, is the code where you can hard code in the positions of whatever you want. And then, as you can see here, there is a more physical way of doing that where, let me click on this attribute here, and that does 2 things. One, whoops, do not want to do that. This is telling me this button has this code, and this is the code I laid out for this one, but I could have also done it using these attributes over here. And I will be honest, I have found it is easier to do a combination of hard coding and the layout. So for instance, here you see I have a left constraint which means I am kind of anchoring this button to the side of the Android phone. And I can do that just by pulling it over, or I can do over here where I have layout constraint start to start of, and I set it to parent, which means the side of the phone. So that's the first thing I did, is set up how I wanted the buttons laid out. I did 12 cards and put them each in a position. I'm going to go back just to code view because code view is a little easier for me. Okay, then once I had all the buttons set up to what I wanted, I had to put in my game logic. Now, I'm going to open this resource manager to show you. I used this little, it's like a picture of a phone with a question mark on it as my default image on the cards. But for the image to flip over, I made these cards. For instance, I'll pull up adverb, and it's just a card I made in this free graphic design program called Canva. So I made all my visuals in that, except for this little phone one, which is a default that comes with Android Studio. And then I would link each part of speech, so that the first thing you saw was the thing that said adverb. This is adverb 2 as the name of the file. And what it actually is, I put an example of an adverb in there. So in this case, I put the word quietly. And so the people who play this will match the part of speech with the example word. And so I'm going to close this resource manager now. But as with any Zoom thing, I have to move around these little things that nobody can see but me to get out of the way. All right, so I'm going to close out these and go back to main activity.kt for Kotlin is where all your game logic goes. So as I said before, activity main.xml is how you set up your Android images or however you want the game set up. But the main activity is your game logic. So what I did was I brought in the images that I created with a mutable list, and that just means, mutable means that things can be done to them. And you can see Kotlin automatically gives me little examples over here of the images that I have brought in. And then they have this handy little function that, pardon me, that randomizes your images. And all you have to do that so that every time they played the game, everything would be in a different position. Otherwise, kids would quickly memorize, oh, well, the pronoun's always over here. It's just images.shuffle. That's the only code that took. In other languages, this would take significantly more code. So Kotlin makes that super easy. Now then, I had to make the buttons and attach the buttons to the cards. And this is an ID I created on each button. You'll see like each one has image button 2 for the ID, another one here, image button 1. So I can use binding, which is a new thing, view binding with Kotlin, that lets me kind of import in stuff from other files. And then I set up my cards with this indices, like a map, to index everything to make it much easier to find each code. All right. Oh, I forgot I left this in. When I was first setting this up, I put in this log tag to make sure when I clicked on the button, it was actually, the set on click listener was actually working. So I don't really need that anymore, but it doesn't hurt the game to leave it there. And if I ever need to make changes, probably a good idea to have it there. Now I have 2 functions that I need to call to make this program work. First is the update models function and the update views. So let's look at, I'm sorry, I'm still getting over a very nasty bug. So I apologize. Between that and my asthma, I cough a lot. So update models. This first one is to check. We always have to have reg expressions or error checks and anything. And this is making sure if the card is already face up, they can't click it again. So if that happens, it'll pop up a little message that says invalid move. And I love this little way Kotlin does this with, you can make a tiny pop-up text message with this code called toast.makeText. And that was easy for me to remember because it was like a little toast at a party. Hey, let's make a toast. And I'm telling you, invalid move. Other times, like I have a here that says correct. So that's a more cheerful toast. Now, at first I had written this where there were 3 possibilities where you had 0 cards flipped over, 2 cards flipped over, or 1 card flipped over. But then I realized the logic for 0 cards and 2 cards was the same, where it needed to just be restored into its original position. So that's what this does. Otherwise, if there's 1 card flipped over, we're going to check to see if there's a match. So I started this function check for match. And that is written down here. And I actually had to call my professor because I got a little stuck on, I was putting a string for noun and noun 2 here, which was messing me up. So I called Chad Macbeth and he helped me out. And so what I have is I use the dot identifier, which keeps things in an integer position. So I can have position 1 of a card and compare it with position 2. So I'm comparing noun with noun 2, which is the example. And I did that all the way down for all those. And then I flipped the positions where position 1 had the example and position 2 had the part of speech. And if those matched, you get a toast that says correct. Guess I could have been more enthusiastic, but correct was all they got. And then I have is matched is true. And that's pretty much all the code. I mean, I have the memory card kt function where I set up the identifier as an int and my is face up val as a boolean, is matched as a boolean. I originally set those to false, so that's why if you get it right, pardon me, the is matched becomes true. So how about we see this in action? I don't own an Android phone, which is kind of weird writing an Android app, but I did get an emulator, which allows me to see how it will run on the app in an emulator on my computer. Takes a minute for this to boot up. So we'll just be very patient while it loads. Oh, there's an old version of my game where I was showing my son what I did. And he was so proud of mommy. It's still building. Okay, now we've got a clean start here. So here's how it pulls up. Remember I told you it had that default image that I set up, and then I'll click. And if I try to click this card again, you see that little pop-up that says invalid move. So this one says noun, and next card says quietly. Well, I know quietly is not a noun, so no match. So I'm going to go to the next card. Oh, verb. Now, quietly wasn't a verb either. So I'm going to go to the card below that. Pronoun. That's not helping me either, is it? So once I have two, when I hit something else, it'll close that card, those two previous cards down. So danced. Okay, danced is a verb. Now I have to remember where I put the verb. It's one of these two. I missed there. Nope, I'm wrong. So let's try there. Yep. And now here it says correct. And these two cards that I made will stay up. They'll stay permanently. I cannot turn them back over. So this says pronoun. We haven't seen a pronoun yet. Preposition. That won't work. Okay. Adjective. Now notice the two incorrect cards that didn't match flipped back over, but the two correct ones stayed up. Adjective. I don't remember if I've seen an adjective yet. She. So no, that's not it. I think though my pronoun was there. Yep, pronoun and she. Mouse is a noun. I think that was there. Yep. Adverb. Quietly was an adverb. Yep. Soft. That is an adjective. Where was my adjective? No. Upon is a preposition. That won't work. Preposition, upon, and so obviously adjective, adjective. There, yay, I won. Okay, so if I were to close this down and do it over, let's see if I plan on adding a start or play again button in my future versions, but I was just learning this Android Studio, so I just wanted to get something up there and see if I could do it. But notice that when I run it again, which I'm doing, and it runs faster the second time, the cards will be in a different position. See, this was noun before, and now it's adverb. So that is pretty much my grammar memory match game. Some things I want to do in the future with this. One, I want to have a play again button. I want to create a larger store of example words so that people playing don't just memorize, oh, well, upon's a preposition, but don't know any of the other prepositions. And so I'll create an array for it to draw example words from. And I think one thing I noticed when I had my son play this, let me pull up these resources and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let's pull up this adverb. The adverb is in white, the word adverb. And I think it would be a better user experience and easier to read if I made it this blue background color. It popped more. So I'm going to change all the graphics to do that. But that's a little time consuming, so I didn't do that today. And I think I'd like to add sound and some kind of confetti or congratulations when the kids get it right. And so that's just some of the things I plan on doing in the future with this. But seeing as this is my first time trying Android Studio, I was super excited about how it turned out. And that is my grammar memory game project. I hope you liked it.